네, 안녕하세요. 게임으로 레벨업 MC 정다영입니다. 오늘은 세계적으로 핫한 우주 게임이죠. 스타시티즌의 개발자님들 모셨습니다. 먼저 간단하게 자기소개 부탁드릴게요.
Yeah, hi, I'm Aaron Roberts and I'm the Chief Development Officer for Cloud Imperium Games.
Hi, I'm Jeremiah Lee. I'm the Character Art Director of Cloud Imperium Games.
게임으로 레벨 업! 이번 한국에는 어떤 계기로 오셨나요?
Basically, we're visiting Korea because we've come over to do some community events with a bunch of our community who actually are in South Korea.
지금까지 어떤 게임을 개발하셨는지 설명 좀 부탁드릴게요.
Personally, quite a few. I started in the industry back in the late 80s, so right at the beginning of the games industry. I worked on games like Wing Commander, Strike Commander, Privateer. Then from there, I worked on other games like Privateer 2, worked at companies like Electronic Arts, Microsoft, Warner Brothers. I worked on all the Lego game franchises, so Lego Star Wars, Lego Indiana Jones and so forth. And now finally, I'm working on Star Citizen, which is basically, and Squadron 42 with Cloud Imperium Games.
세계적인 게임 개발자이신데 어떻게 이 일을 시작하게 됐는지 궁금합니다.
I was in university and I went for a summer job working on with my brother Chris, and I started working every summer. And what happened at the end of university is they liked me enough to invite me back to have a full-time job, and that's how I started my career.
저는 처음에 그 영화 쪽에서 일을 했고요. Justice League, Aquaman, Dark Tower. So I worked on these kind of films first, and then I had a friend that was working at Cloud Imperium. And he was like, "Hey, Jeremiah, I need your help." So I actually started off as a freelance contract artist, and then I fell in love with Aaron, and then I've been I've been with the company for about almost 7-8 years now. So it hasn't stopped since then. Yeah.
게임 개발자로 일하면서 느끼는 일에 어떤 보람이 있다면 어떤 것들이 있을까요?
I mean, for me, I've always enjoyed making games, but specifically with Cloud Imperium Games is making games a different way. We're very connected to the community, the people we make the games for. In the past, when we made games, we'd go away for a number of years and have no connection to the people we're actually creating the game for. Now we make the game with our community, we get feedback from our community, and basically that helps us make a much better game. And it's also really nice for the whole team because they're seeing that feedback as we release patches. Then people see it, they get the feedback, and we move on from there. So the joy of it for me really is actually working much closer with the community.
Getting the immediate feedback from the community is actually quite scary, but at the same time, it's very valuable information that we normally wouldn't get in a normal game development cycle. So it's, as a developer, terrifying for me. But at the same time, it's very exciting. And a lot of the backers, when they give their feedback, it doesn't come from malice or any sort of negativity. It comes from passion, and they're invested in the game emotionally as much as we are. Right? And a lot of the developers are also backers of the game. So I backed Star Citizen way back in the day as well, and so they share a lot of our interests. And so it's fun, scary, and exciting. And it's actually what a lot of the developers, we do go to Reddit or we'll go into Spectrum actually we're curious to see what the response is from the fans, and so we go there a lot. I need to stop going. I go in there a little too much, but.
약간 반대로 이 게임 개발자라서 좀 스트레스를 받거나 힘든 점이 있다면 어떤 점이 있을까요?
I think everyone feels a lot of stress. We basically put a new patch out every 3 months to the community. So there's a lot of work involved in making sure not only that we put the new features in, the new content in, but then we've got to stabilize it. We've got to make sure it's ready to go. And 3 months is a very short time to do that when, to really balance stuff out. Now, we're still in alpha, so it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but it's got to be good enough so people can play for a lot of hours and have a lot of fun of what they're doing. So the stress comes comes really from that sort of level of just having a regiment of 4 times a year putting out. In fact, sometimes more. We put out some special patches sometimes as well. So that's kind of the stress area. And also, it's sometimes it's a good stress. I mean, kind of like Jeremiah was saying, because you basically you sort of actually bounce off it sometimes because you're eager to see what people think and you're excited to see what with the thoughts on it. But then also sometimes sometimes you get it wrong, and so but then you get the feedback, and then we've had a chance to fix it.
When it comes, I would say more on the art side, is technology has been evolving at a rapid pace. Like for instance, Unreal 5 came out very recently, the engine, and the capabilities of just technology shaders have been increasing. I would say probably tenfold over the course of the past 10 years. Graphics and fidelity has become something that we've achieved a lot of things that were probably impossible about 10, 15 years ago. And so keeping up with the trends and also the trying to maintaining the standard while trying to develop a game is always quite difficult. So on the art director side, I'm always battling with graphics and also battling with the tech that's always there. And Chris Roberts being a big fan of technology, always wants to push things to the next level. And we also share the same vision. A lot of my artists, they want to make I almost swore the best art they possibly can with the current tech that we have. And so I would say that is probably, at least on the art side, my biggest stress, to try to maintain and also try to be the leaders of just art in general and design in the industry. So
게임 회사는 어떤 곳일까 정말 많은 분들이 좀 궁금해하세요. 다른 직장과는 다른 이 게임 회사만의 문화나 분위기 같은 게 있을까요?
Yeah, I mean, we have, so our company split over a lot of different studios. So we have a studio in Los Angeles, a studio in Austin, Texas, a studio in Manchester, England, a studio in Frankfurt, Germany, and we also work in Montreal as well. Those are the 5 main locations. And so every studio has a slightly different vibe to it because the UK studio is the largest. There's about 550 developers there in the UK, and then the other studios have about 150 people in the other studios. And so obviously very culturally, the UK is different to Germany, to the different areas. And so we've had to learn very quickly how we work as a worldwide organization to basically, to make sure we get the best and work together. We try and have, in terms of generally though, outside of the cultures of the different studios, we try and run a very sort of flexible and friendly system. So the employees, we have very flexible working hours. We allow people, if there's times where they just need to work from home, then we allow that as well. Although we are an in-office organization, we want people to collaborate and be in the office. So we make sure people are together, but we try and be very flexible about start times, end times, and so forth. We're very good about providing a lot of things for the employees. So while you're there, then obviously there's a lot of nice things in the studio for them to do, like games rooms, places to do, food, drinks, and all that kind of stuff, because we want people to enjoy being in that sort of atmosphere. So that's kind of some of the main sort of things we do. It's like important because the most important part of any company are the people. And so you want people who are really happy to work there. That's always how you get the best out of everybody. And so we really work hard to make sure that the people are happy. So then basically, we're all actually working towards to make a great game.
게임 회사들은 문화가 되게 중요해요. 그래서 우리 약간 가족 같은 분위기를 만들기 위해서 디렉터들이나 매니저들이 약간 그 분위기를 만들기 위해서 되게 많이 노력을 해요. 저는 일단은 그 미술 쪽이기 때문에 일단 제 팀은 예민한 사람들 되게 많아요. 왜냐하면 또 되게 많은 집중이 들어가야 되고 새로운 걸 만들어야 되기 때문에 we need to make a safe environment, at least for artists, and also the company we try to cater to a lot of the employees. Actually, I would say more than most companies, where we try to make a very comfortable, inviting, and also safe environment, because we want them to be the most creative. Because the game that we're trying to make, it's not a cookie cutter, get it done in about 6 months or 2 years game. We're trying to innovate. We're trying to push the boundaries, and in order for us to accomplish that, we need to make sure that they're given everything. And so, me personally, because I started off from like I would say maybe a staff level all the way up to now, the biggest thing that I got or the feeling that I had from the company was really like brothers and sisters. We used to have Nerf guns. Is Nerf guns a thing in Korea? Nerf guns. It's like these little syringe, and we do like Nerf gun battles like during lunch and stuff, or we play Super Smash Brothers like during the lunchroom during lunchtime, or we go out and we do like board games all the time together. So we have a lot of family dynamic, and we want to maintain a lot of that. But at the same time, we are a company, right? So you can't just walk in your underwear. We're still a company. We have to have that level of professionalism, but we want them to feel safe. And so I think that's the biggest thing that I'm actually very proud of with our company.
한국에서는 요즘 이제 게임 개발자가 굉장히 떠오르는 직업이에요. 혹시 미국에서는 좀 어떤가요?
That's a great career path. I love it. So that's how I started. I think it's definitely something which is a huge future in a lot of areas, and for whether you're going in on the technical side and the game side, whether it's art, design, and whatever in that level, and we basically work very hard to with a lot of educational institutions as well as just people who don't maybe have a formal education to try and bring them in. And a lot of the on the development side is for us, just getting into what we look for. It's basically it's really about what people show us. So obviously we work closely with a lot of universities because we know the courses are good and they bring them in. But also a lot of the time people will just come in from the cold and they'll show us their portfolio, or they'll show us some levels they've designed. They just basically downloaded Unreal and just did some work on it themselves. And that's actually the kind of stuff we look for from a lot of people as well. So it's one of those industries as well. I'm not sure how much it's in Korea, but in Europe and in the US. When we hire, we're looking for what people can show us over, it's important that they have all these sort of academic, qualifications. Now, don't get me wrong, having academic qualifications is good as well, but it's not a barrier to entry in that sort of level. It's more about what can someone do and what can they show us. And we have great people. We've had lots of people, who've come in and have done incredible jobs and that sort of stuff.
자녀가 만약에 똑같이 게임 개발자가 되고 싶다라고 하면 좀 추천을 해주실 건가요?
My son can already do things that I can't. So he right now, because it's a whole different generation. So when I grew up, there was no internet, there was no ability to go on YouTube and look everything up. And my son, who's like at the age of 8, he was building his own PCs. And with we're talking gluing the processor in and all this kind of stuff, and he was showing me how to do it. It was quite funny. I was like, and that kind of stuff, and so for me, I'm a big supporter of whatever he wants to do, and I think absolutely in terms of game development, it's been an amazing 35 years for me, and so I would absolutely love to see him go in, and whether he gets on the more technical side of it, or he's going to be programming or art or audio or whatever it is, then I would be a huge supporter of it. Yeah.
저는 개인적으로 그 미술을 선택을 했었을 때 부모님들은 이렇게 반대를 하지 않았는데 걱정은 엄청 많이 하셨어요. 근데 그 특별히 지금 세대는 약간 디지털 에이지로 가기 때문에 특별히 게임 쪽에는 일단 돈이 많이 투자가 돼 있고 there's a lot of money and interest going into the digital side. So games is definitely not a taboo or something that is it's no longer something that people will say that they don't do anymore. It's actually quite popular to say today, oh, I play this game, or this is a game that I'm currently playing. So the times that a lot of the, I would say, previous generation would kind of shun has now been swapped over to where it is more natural now. So I guess this is maybe more for the parents. We're living in a completely different age now, and so there is a lot of money and interest in this industry right now. And even on the hiring front, not to give actual numbers, we're finding there's a lot of competition. So we've been struggling sometimes in certain departments to hire some people, just because there's just not enough workers out there. The demand for for developers is quite high, but the supply is quite low. And so we need more developers. We need more artists. We need more software engineers. We need more graphics programmers. We need more QA. There are many jobs out there for developers, and I would recommend families to push if their children, of course, are interested in game development, to push them that direction, because there is a lot of there's money. There's a lot of money in there, and a lot of companies like us, we want to make sure we get the best talent, and so yeah, it could be your kid. I don't know.
이야기를 들으면서 궁금해지는 게, 그러면 게임 개발자가 되려면은 어떤 걸 해야 되나요? 어렸을 때 뭐 코딩 공부를 해야 된다라던가 뭐 디자인을 공부를 해야 된다거나.
I think the first and foremost is to actually download the tools and just do it yourself. I mean, that's how, even if you're it doesn't matter where you are, university, school, at home, that's the biggest thing you can do, is basically just get the tools, start using them, start innovating with them, and that's how you teach yourself. Get on YouTube, get on whichever equivalents there are around the world, and basically and look at the stuff and learn that kind of stuff. That's the thing which really impresses people like ourselves the most, is people who not only go, I've done this as well, but here you go, I've done that kind of stuff, and that's really, because it shows self-motivation to learn this stuff and to go stuff, and also then it shows creatively what you're prepared to do and so forth and things. So I'd always say, push yourself a little, download something. If you enjoy doing it, and this is something you're doing as a hobby anyway, then keep it going and do that kind of stuff, because that hobby will absolutely turn into a full career. And as Jeremiah was saying, we really struggle to find developers. A lot the quality and the quantity we need sometimes. I mean, we do a huge amount of hiring, and it's really difficult to find good staff. And so if you're one of those people who are doing all this sort of work and showing what you can do, then that makes a massive difference.
I would say it really depends on what position you're applying for. So obviously a software engineer would have nothing to do with me because I'm doing art, right? So I might talk to them because of the shader or code, but I wouldn't interact with them day to day. And so there are many different departments in game development. And so since I cover art, it's a little different. But I would say the easy for someone maybe that's just starting, maybe in middle school or high school, pick a game that you really like, or what in particular part of that game are you interested in, right? Are you interested in more like Lego games, or are you interested in like Star Citizen, which is more hyper-realistic sci-fi, or would you be into medieval? And then try to pick pieces on what areas of the game interest you the most. Is it the layout of the level? Is it the difficulty? It might be you might want to be a level designer. You might want to be a gameplay engineer. Or you could be a lot of different things. Or you want maybe like a character artist, which my department would be. And once you pick that direction, the path kind of leads by itself if you just continue to think in that thought process. And there's many YouTube videos online teach you how to do that. But like Aaron said, the biggest thing that Cloud Imperium games we look for is passion, and especially me not graduating from university. We can really sense their motivation, their hard work, dedication, and because it shows not just through the interview or their voice, but their work itself. We can actually see the amount of effort that they put in.
Actually, just to add to that, we have lots of people that come in through quality assurance, and they start their career that way. I did years and years ago, and what happens is they come in and they know they want to be in the games industry, and they're very passionate about what they're doing, and the way we really work with people in our organisations, we bring them in, they do that sort of stuff, and then and then when they really work out what they want to do, then we internally promote to positions like programming, art, and that kind of stuff. So it's not just having to choose beforehand. Sometimes people come in and then basically really work out what they enjoy, and then we work very hard within the company to then promote within to get people into areas that we think will really help.
만약에 게임 개발자가 아니었다면 어떤 일을 하셨을 것 같아요?
Well, yeah, I mean, so my degree was in geography. So when I first, that's what I took, and I just fell in love with game development. So I'm guessing I'd probably be, knowing me, probably something to do with the environment. would have been what I'd enjoyed doing. And I enjoyed population and environment and things like that. So that's kind of sort of sociology. So that has been probably what I've been involved in. If it hadn't been for the fact that I was earning money every summer, and then they offered me a full-time job, and at the time, at the time it was a slight accident because back in the UK at the time, where I went to university, it was very hard to find a job, and so I got very lucky when I left university that they offered me a job, and it was in America, and I moved there and basically worked there. So yeah, probably I'd have been an environmentalist or something. Is probably what I'd have done.
Wait, first, I think you would have been like Indiana Jones. That's how I imagine. Yeah, because I did do a lot of like film. I also did I did design for Kanye West's music video before. But I did a lot of like TV, movies, so I probably would have stayed in that area. Actually, Cloud Imperium Games was the first studio I worked full time. I always was kind of I would work on a project for 6 months or 2 months and then move and leave on. So this is actually a first where I've actually stayed on as a full-time staff. So if it wasn't for that one phone call, I probably would have kept hopping around here and there. Yeah.
이제 스타시티즌 게임에 대해서 이야기를 해볼 건데 이 스타시티즌 게임은 어떻게 기획을 하게 되신 건가요? 혹은 재밌는 에피소드 같은 게 있으면 좀 말씀 부탁드리겠습니다.
8-9 years of fun. I'd say that's been very cool moments. We obviously we have Star Citizen, which is the big multiverse game we're working on, but also work on Squadron 42, which is a single player game, which is sort of like Wing Commander was in the old days in that sort of sense. But what was a lot of fun is when we the way we film in the Wing Commander days, they actually filmed the actors on sets and then they put the video into the game. Now we basically do a performance capture. So the actors come in full suits and we get their motions and we put them into the game and we scan their heads and we put it all into the game. But the cool thing was we're working with a bunch of the famous actors. So it had a lot of fun. We had like Mark Hamill, Gary Oldman, loads, it's like stuff, but so a lot of famed actors there. So it was a lot of fun being at the shoot, seeing all these sort of actors performing and doing that kind of level and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun for me. And then just working with the team and just building up the company. When we started, there was how many? Like 30 of us.
Yeah.
And then so we've now gone from about 30 odd people, if that. I mean, it's less than that to start with, and now we're about 1,000, all around the world. And so there's just a lot of fun and working on building it up and going from a very small company to larger and still trying to support and get everything done and things like that.
이제 테크놀로지에 대해서 좀 얘기를 해볼까 하는데요. 이제 윙커맨더 게임이 출시가 될 때마다 워낙 이제 완성도가 높다 보니까 이제 PC 사양이 굉장히 높게 필요했어요. 이번 스타시티즌 같은 경우에는 어떤가요? 저희가 좀 좋은 컴퓨터를 사놔야 될까요?
The spec requirements are on. You can find at Robert Industries, spaceindustries.com.
알아서 찾아보시래요. 네.
We always have done, and this is one of the reasons. I've worked with my brother for years now. I mean, from the beginning and all the way through. And he took a break for about 10 years and went to film and then came back and started this. And I joined him for this endeavour. But we've always pushed the technology. That's what Wing Commander was known for. That's what Strike Command was known for. And Chris always wanted to, push the technology to get it as realistic and for everybody and stuff. He wanted to tell real stories, and so yes, as we were pushing it back then, it was huge. Now, absolutely, we run the most powerful servers we can on AWS, and obviously, if you're at home on a really high spec machine, then that's good. And we'll keep on pushing it. We've got, like, as Jeremiah was saying, we're always pushing the graphics. We're always working on stuff to make it better and faster because we want people to have the most realistic experience. We want it to be, we want people to play the game and really feel immersed in the metaverse. And so that's kind of why we're looking at. So 100% great machine, great stuff. Now, obviously, we are making sure that we do support slower machines, but right now we're really pushing on the technology.
스타시티즌 개발 관련해서 크라우드 펀딩으로 게임 역사상 가장 높은 금액을 펀딩을 받으신 걸로 알고 있어요. 이제 이 펀딩 결과가 나왔을 때 기분이 좀 궁금합니다.
Yeah, I mean that was quite amazing. When actually, for us, Jeremiah was very early on as well. So when we both kind of started, the numbers were we thought very high, and we were. And so we were just really pleased that we felt like we had, we wanted to do something new, and it was kind of like, we wanted to do something, create something special and new in the way we're doing it, and we just saw all this groundswell of support for what we're doing, which was fantastic. And so at the beginning we were just like very surprised because more people were joining, and this is when we really didn't have much to show because we were still building out the teams and doing everything. And then from there it just kept on growing, and we felt really lucky, to be honest, that there's so many people out there who want to support what we're doing, and so that for me was the most amazing thing. And then we just kept on, and as we started getting the content out, and then we got more support, then that was just amazing. But that for us is I just feel so lucky to have the amazing support we've had from the community on that sort of level, because and then what happened, and then this is a bit of our DNA. We weren't expecting to get as much support, and so our original plans for the game were very much more limited. So we were planning to do stuff, but you weren't going to, if you went to a planet, there'd be a loading screen and you go down to the planet. We were going to have, Squadron 42 was going to be a bit of a mission pack and so forth. But as the money came in, we suddenly realized that, with this now we can actually really make something even more special. And so we invested all that money back in to the technology. So now, when you're in the game, as Jeremy likes to say, is that there's only one time you load, and that's when you go into the game, and you travel all over the universe, you travel up and down through planets and everywhere, and it's seamless, and it's streaming, and it's all this kind of stuff. Because the funding we had, we could spend the time on the technology. We moved it from 32-bit to 64-bit, which is massive when you're in a universe, because you don't have the precision and 32-bit that you do have in 64-bit. There's so many optimizations of work we've done, and we're still doing because of the support we're getting. So 100%, it's been a fantastic time, and it's just great to be able to have had the time and the resource to spend to get the base foundation of the code, the technology working, which we wouldn't have had if we didn't have the same amount of funding. And because of that, we can do all the amazing stuff we're doing now, which we wouldn't have been able to do, and which is a problem which other developers, I can talk about this forever, but if you're working for a publisher like an Electronic Arts, the issue is that they have a budget and they want to hit some deadlines. Because we've had the support from the community, we could go and make the hard calls to not just stop doing this here, but to actually create the technology that needs to be created to make the game. And that was a massive thing for us, because no one's coming back and saying, you must stop now, we need this out in 12, 18 months and so forth to get stuff done. So where we are now is an incredibly great situation.
저희가 진짜 이 스타 시티즌 게임을 너무 기대를 하고 있어요. 이 게임 언제 출시되나요?
So we are going to. Well, there's two things we're working on. There's obviously Star Citizen. That's already in alpha, and we update it every quarter. So you can play that right now. It's obviously alpha, so it means it's not perfect. There are some issues, but we're basically working on now the plan to get it to beta, where that will be kind of our sort of soft launch for it. And we're working on plans for that right now. And as soon as we have that information, then we'll share it with everybody. And then Squadron 42, which is the other one, which is a first player game and so forth, that we are keeping very sort of quiet, because until we're ready for it to, we feel it's in really good shape, because it's not, the Squadron 42 is using all the same technology, but we want it to be a surprise, because it's a huge story product with lots of cool actors and acting and a big stuff going on. So we're going to keep that under wraps, and then when we're ready to announce, then we're going to tell everybody. So unfortunately, I can't really tell you. I haven't really given you an answer, but right now you can play Star Citizen and see what it's like as we keep on improving it. And then on Squadron 42, that will be held until we're ready for that.
마지막으로 이제 두 분께 한국 팬들을 향한 한마디씩 부탁을 드릴게요.
No, I can say that we've had an absolutely wonderful time. We had an amazing experience. We went to the sort of, they've been having a gathering here for about 5 years, I think, and we finally managed to make it to over to Korea, to Asia for the first time. And we actually, as a company, felt, we've seen the huge amount of engagement over here, and that's really with very little support from us. And so we felt that it was time that we came over to support the community over in Korea. So we came down, we had a wonderful time down there. It was just an amazing just experience with everybody. We had, you know, we went over and we stayed all night and we had a good time and you know, we discussed stuff. I got loads of really good feedback from the community about not just about the game, and there are some areas of the game which is great, because you know, I'll even give them my card and say, hey, write me an email personally if there's some problems, and I'll pass it on to the person who's doing that sort of game. But also what are the issues with what we're doing as a company which affect Korea or Asia in a way, in terms of like, you know, how is our site not accessible enough? Is our game not localized in the proper way, and so forth. And so for me, it was a really good experience.
여기 처음 왔었을 때 한국에 팬들이 있다고 들었을 때 깜짝 놀랐거든요. 왜냐면 스타 시티즌하고 약간 윙 커맨더나 뭐 프리랜서 그 게임은 약간 미국에서 이렇게 많이 이렇게 유명했는데, 근데 한국에서도 약간 그런 팬들 있다는 소식 들었을 때 완전 되게 감동을 받으면서 깜짝 놀랐고요. I hope you guys continue to support the game, and we'll do our very best. Like Aaron said, we've received a lot of feedback, and it's not something that we take lightly. It's something that we want to implement right away, and there's already been some conversations that have already been taking place the past couple of days. So we appreciate your support, and we'll do our very best to support you guys back, because, you know, CIG, we're not just UK, Germany, and LA, and Texas, and Montreal. We want to be global, and so we'll do our very best as well. So see you soon in the verse, I guess. Is that what we say? That's what we say, right? That's what we say.
게임으로 레벨 업! 저희가 사실 굉장히 귀한 분들을 모셨잖아요. 그래서 그냥 보내드릴 수가 없어요. 그래서 밸런스 게임을 사실 준비를 했는데 저희가 되게 간략하게 한 3개 정도만 해볼게요. 하나를 고르셔야 되는데 우주의 창조 혹은 우주의 소멸, 둘 중에서 하나를 고르신다면?
It's the start of life rather than the end of it. So that's the creation, and also to see how it all started would be pretty impressive. I've got a pretty good idea how it's going to end. It'll be a massive black hole. So, but that's about it. So.
I'm actually the opposite. I want to see the end. I think the human race will destroy itself and destroy all the universe. So I think we'll end the universe early.
당신은 지금 외계 종족과 한 방에 갇히기 혹은 교신 불가능한 상태에서 홀로 우주를 떠돌기.
Then I would want to be with the aliens, yes.
오케이. 외계인과 함께 하겠다고 말씀해 주셨습니다.
I guess it'll depend what the aliens are going to do to me. But if they're friendly aliens, then I'm very happy. But if they're unfriendly aliens, I'd probably rather just be on my own.
Yeah, I would choose aliens too. I am confident in my social skills to either, you know, sway the aliens or seduce if necessary for my survival.
마지막으로 당신이 갖고 싶은 한 가지 능력은? 인데요. 첫 번째는 어떤 별, 어떤 형태의 음식이라도 소화시킬 수 있는 능력. 두 번째는 어떤 별, 어떤 형식의 언어라도 통역할 수 있는 능력.
I definitely would rather be able to translate or understand any language for that. Yeah, I wish I'd learned more languages when I grew up. To be honest, so I feel my parents speak lots of languages and I'm useless. So I wish I had that ability.
Okay.
I love food, so I'd pick digest everything.
두 분이 굉장히 다르시네요. 네.
I mean, like I would get to experience like different flavors, right? Right, more than the world.
But if it's decent food, then you would digest it anyway.
Yeah.
So what you eating rocks?
Yeah, but I would have that experience that you can't, right? And I would be too busy eating to talk to people.
How would you break your teeth while trying to eat the rocks?
No, I just swallow it because I could digest it.
지금 굉장히 진지한 토론하고 계신데 이렇게 이제 밸런스 게임은 이제 끝이 났고요. 진짜 이제 보내드리도록 하겠습니다.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just say it's it's been an absolute pleasure being here, and I'm really enjoying it. So I'm looking forward very much to coming back to Seoul and Korea very soon. Because after my first experiences, like I said, it's my first time here, and it's been fantastic. So thank you very much for everybody here and being taken such good care of, and also once again the fantastic community we have here and everybody and all the support we get.
I hope you guys continue to support the game, and we'll do our very best. I would say, especially for those who want to get into game development, I would say, do your best, and also follow your passion and your dream. 화이팅, 화이팅.
네, 지금까지 스타시티즌 개발자님들과 함께했습니다. 감사합니다. Thank you. 게임으로 레벨업!